So after that rousing, entertaining performance from both Fernandes and United yesterday, United fans have to worry about the possibility of their captain feeling a little bit unsettled at the club. What exactly has he had to say?
Yeah, good afternoon, Jess. I think this is the last thing anyone connected with Manchester United wanted to see, wanted to read today after, as you mentioned, what was, a performance, a result, that felt quite positive in the end, that 4-4 draw with Bournemouth yesterday evening. Now, Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes, he has had some explosive things to say, talking about feeling not valued by his club and also maybe the club wanting to sell him in the summer. Now, to give you some context, this wasn't done in the mixed zone after the game yesterday. This interview Fernandes has given was actually in November, as I understand it from sources in Portugal. It was by Canal 11, a Portuguese channel affiliated with the Portuguese FA, who have done a two-part sit-down with Fernandes. Part one came out last night, and he had some explosive things to say about his value at United. So we can bring you some of those quotes now. First of all, he says, "I was valued. What values me most has to be my club. Although I feel lately that I'm a little on the tightrope because in England, a player reaches 30 and they think he has to remodel. I decided not to go, not only for family reasons, but because I genuinely liked the club. From the club, I felt if you go, it's not that bad for us. It hurts me a bit. More than hurting, makes me sad. I'm a player who has nothing to point to. I'm always available. I always give the best of me." Very interesting in that sense, Jess. Really talking about his value and not feeling valued, actually. And also you talk about him saying that he's on the other side of 30. Maybe that also points to his change in position, of course. Ruben Amorim has changed that position from a number 10 into midfield this year, bringing in more attacking, more players full of speed, like the likes of Brian Mbeumo and Mateus Cunha. So you wonder if Fernandes is alluding to that as well. We can also look at some quotes where he talks about a potential move to Saudi Arabia in the summer as well. One where Fernandes rejected that move. And he says the passion and empathy for the club were the same, only it gets to a point where money is more important to them than you. The club wanted me to go away. I told the directors that I don't think they had the courage to make that decision because the coach wanted me. But if I said I wanted to leave, even though the coach wanted me to stay, the club would let me. Now, this is really interesting, Jess, when you hear Fernandes talk about the club wanting him to go, because Fernandes actually did an interview in October with the British press ahead of his 300th appearance for Manchester United, and actually said at that point that Ruben Amorim wanted him to stay despite interest from the likes of Saudi Arabia, Al Hilal especially. And he also said in that interview, actually, that he felt the club wanted him to stay and be part of their project going forward. Now, as we understand it, after these quotes have come out, our sources are telling us that Manchester United are adamant they want their captain to stay at the club. They very much see him as part of their long-term future. And also we understand that the leadership of United have been pretty adamant throughout the summer that Fernandes is not for sale. What I would just caveat all of this with is in that interview in October with the British press, not the Portuguese, but the British press, he also did say, though, that he won't talk about his future going forward until after next summer's World Cup. So it does raise questions whether Fernandes, whose contract goes till the summer of 2027 with a further option of another year, whether he will still be here next season. Very, maybe worrying for some United fans.
Yeah, definitely. And something for us to keep an eye on over the next 18 months or so, Dan. So I mentioned that rousing, kind of entertaining performance by Manchester United against Bournemouth last night at Old Trafford, but a sense of frustration because for multiple times they did lead that game against the Cherries. Where does that result, that 4-4 draw, leave the manager Ruben Amorim now, do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting, Jess. Well, first of all, what I will say is, although they didn't get the win and it might be 2 wins in 7 league games, it was a very different performance to the previous 2 home performances at Old Trafford when you compare the draw against West Ham, the loss to Everton against 10 men. And from what I saw, speaking to United fans after the game, you saw a lot of actual jubilant faces. Yes, disappointed not to get the win, but you have to say at least United were entertaining. They scored great goals. But more importantly, and I think what Amorim will be more pleased about, although he looks disappointed there, is they were much more competitive in their duels defensively as well, winning the ball back quickly. And I think for all the criticism towards Ruben Amorim for being stubborn with his formation, with his tactics, he showed yesterday actually it seemed to be more of a 4-4-2. Maybe you could say that's a bit more fluid, but he clearly changed his system and formation for this game, showing that he is willing to adapt his tactics going forward. So I think that for fans and everyone connected with the club, they'll feel positive about that. I think the only caveat and the only maybe feeling of sadness was seeing how well they were attacking, where they really struggled last season, Jess, is that the likes of Ahmad and Brian Mbeumo, United fans aren't going to see this system maybe at its best, as we saw last night, for a good month, as of course they're going to AFCON. So how Amorim adapts this team, who comes in for the likes of Mbeumo. Šeško is now fit after his knee injury, but who comes in for Ahmad, especially on that right, is going to be very interesting to see what Ruben Amorim does going forward. And we have a huge game against Aston Villa on Sunday, who are flying themselves. So look, question still for this United team to raise, but I think after yesterday's result and performance, maybe a lot more positive going forward than compared to the last previous weeks.
Yeah, just a little matter of going all the way to Villa Park against a surging Aston Villa on Sunday.